Hey everyone, and welcome to video 4 of my top 25 series for my 25th birthday year. If you haven't seen my first 3 videos, I ranked my top 25 horror movies, comedies, and action sci-fi, so I will link those in the description below if you want to watch those first or watch it now. There's really no order to this. But next month, after all these are out, we will be doing my top 25 favorite movies of all time for my 25th birthday, which will be in May. So, thank you all for clicking on this video and watching along with me as I do this review series. If you've been on my channel before, you may see that my background or my lighting or my hat is different. That's because my basement is currently being painted, so my girlfriend let me film in her basement, so that's where I am today. So, without further ado, I'm going to get started here. I have my list and I am ready to go. So, I'm going to start with a couple honorable mentions and then go into my top 25. So, it might be a long video. Sit back, watch along, and let me know what your top 25 favorite movies or dramas are of all time. And let's get started. So for my honorable mentions for my top 25 favorite dramas, at first we have Draft Day. Now, Draft Day is a great movie for me because I love the whole aspect of being a general manager. Actually, my dream job when I was younger was to be a general manager of a basketball team. Obviously, that didn't happen for me, but that's okay. But that is why I love this movie so much, because it truly is the aspect of how a general manager has to think and work in these situations. And the things that they are able to do, the things that the main character and the team is able to do throughout this movie is just so cool to me. And every time it just gets me super excited to watch it at the end. At number 24, we have The Dirt. This is a recent biopic of a band that's came out recently when we have all these biopics, like we have the Elvis movie and the Bohemian Rhapsody Queen movie. This movie is about Motley Crue. And me and my friends absolutely love this film. After we saw it, we listened to Motley Crue for like a year straight, nonstop. We went to see Vince Neil live, which he's not that great anymore, but it was still cool to see him. And I just have been a huge fan of Motley Crue music and a huge fan of these biopics of music ever since I saw this film. And I really think it'll forever stay around my top 25 favorite dramas. And for my last honorable mention, I have The Gift. This is a movie that came out in the mid-2010s starring Jason Bateman. And if I'm not wrong, he also wrote it or directed it or something. And this is more of a thriller film about this weird, creepy guy who they call Gordo the Weirdo. He went to high school with Jason Bateman, and now he's come back into his life, and he's trying to be his friend, but Bateman's still creeped out by him and the way that he is attempting to be his friend, coming to his house, bringing him gifts, hence the name of the movie, The Gift. If you haven't seen this one, I highly recommend to check it out. It's a very cool, very interesting story. Alright, here we are breaking into my top 25, and like I just said, I love these band biopics, and so at 25 we have, which in my opinion is still the best one, Bohemian Rhapsody. This movie of Queen and honestly of Freddie Mercury is a great, great story, a great movie. I have fun watching it the whole time through, and that Live Aid performance at the end will never be topped. It'll never be beaten in a music movie. It is a great performance, and I really think that the entire cast and crew did an exceptional job portraying Queen and putting this film together. At 24, we have a Christopher Nolan film. If you know me, you know that I think Christopher Nolan's movies are a bit overhyped. I'm sorry, do not attack me. But there are a few that I still do love, and one of those is The Prestige. I think this might be Nolan's second best film. I really love the story here, and I really love how we get to see the mind of Nikola Tesla and these characters who are trying to use his inventions to create these insane magic shows, and then that twist that you find out is actually happening when they're using Tesla's inventions and what's actually happening in this magic is absolutely mind-blowing. And the two main characters, they are so fun to follow and just to see their back and forth and how they are trying to one-up another the whole time through. At 23, we have a Netflix film from recent years, and that is The Trial of the Chicago 7. This was my favorite movie the year it came out, and rightfully so, because this movie just goes non-stop the whole time through. I believe it's over 2 hours long, but it feels like it's an hour and a half long because of just how well paced it is. You really love and invest into the story, and it actually makes you feel a lot. A lot of movies, they try to make you feel, and they fail on that front, but this movie really does make you feel. I get angry, I get sad, and I get emotional while watching this film. At 22, we have The Grand Budapest Hotel. Now, I didn't know who Wes Anderson was as a filmmaker because I never saw his films until Asteroid City came out. Ever since then, I've watched the majority of his movies, and he is slowly creeping up the ranks to like my top 5 directors of all time. I absolutely love his style, I love his humor, and I love what he does with his movies. You know, you can watch films and you could say, oh, this belongs to maybe Scorsese or maybe Spielberg or maybe this guy. If you watch a Wes Anderson film, you know it's a Wes Anderson film. His style is so distinct, and I know a lot of people either love it or hate it. For me, I'm on the side of love, and I think Grand Budapest is probably his best film he's ever made. At number 21, I have another movie that came out around the mid-2010s, and that is Prisoners. This movie is bonkers, you know, all out, all to the wall, a crazy, crazy film. From the moment that the daughter is abducted to to the very end of the film, you are on the edge of your seat. You have good characters doing absolutely morally terrific things, and you have really bad characters who you feel bad for. This movie can mess with your mind, and it can really make you question what is good, what is bad, and what would you do in a situation like this if you were in the shoes of these parents. At number 20, we have The Joker. Now, I would classify a lot of my superhero movies under the action sci-fi genre, but I felt like Joker belonged more in this drama section because it's not really a action superhero movie like a Spider-Man film, and it's not really a sci-fi spectacle like the Guardians films. It's more like a personal story of a man who's just on the brink of collapsing, who's on the brink of losing his mind and going completely insane, and then he snaps and he does go insane. And you just see this man who has, you know, issues with his parents and the way he was brought up, and he also has mental issues, and he's obviously not all there. And as you watch him slowly, you know, go through these highs and lows, he thinks he's becoming a star, and then he realizes that people are really out to get him and they're laughing at him, and then he just snaps. It is a great character study and a great film. At number 19, we have probably my favorite director of all time, one of his movies, and that is Jackie Brown. And you will see a lot more Tarantino films on this list, I promise you that, but Jackie Brown is definitely a top 5 film of his for me. I feel like it's one of his more lesser known films, and maybe that's because it's one of the only films he didn't actually write himself. Maybe it's because it didn't get a lot of, I don't know, like love in the media. It doesn't really get shown on streaming services and TV channels nowadays. I'm not really sure why, but it truly is one of his best works, and if you haven't seen Jackie Brown and you're a fan of other Tarantino films, I highly recommend you go check this one out. At number 18, another Netflix film, which is very shocking to me to have all these Netflix films, because I always, you know, think of Netflix films as bottom of the barrel type movies. But here we have Marriage Story, and this is definitely not a bottom of the barrel type movie. This film came out the same year as Joker, and these are both top 5 films of that year for me. I absolutely love Marriage Story. I love this, you know, secluded story about just a couple in their house and their marriage falling apart, and they're trying to save it while they're trying to figure out, you know, the logistics of divorce, and you just get so involved in these characters' lives, and you feel for them, and you cry for them, and you can't help but want to live with them and just see where their life is taking them in this moment. At number 17, we have a movie that is very Joker-esque. Honestly, I would say it's the number one inspiration for Joker, but I would say it does it a little bit better because 1, it is the original, 2, it was made by Scorsese, and 3, De Niro, funny enough, is in the lead, and he is at the end of Joker, and this is King of Comedy. This is another very unknown movie, I feel like. I feel like it doesn't get talked about a lot in like the film community, both on like Twitter and Letterboxd and YouTube, wherever you go. It's definitely one of Scorsese's most unknown films, but I highly recommend you go check it out, especially if you're a fan of Joker or other Scorsese films about like this lonely, crazy person like Taxi Driver or any other films that you can relate to that. At number 16, we have an oldie film. This is in black and white, and we have Rear Window. I have only seen this movie one time, and it was like 8 years ago, and it still has left this big of an impact on me. This is one of those movies that it doesn't need, the big spectacle of nowadays. It doesn't need all this lights and action and all this crazy stuff going on. It's just like three characters. The main character is a guy sitting on a chair in his bedroom, and he's just watching out his window, and he witnesses things that drive him crazy, and as the story progresses you start to feel a little crazy yourself, and it is an absolutely bonkers film. Of course, it is made by the great Alfred Hitchcock, so you already know what kind of film you're getting yourself into. If you haven't seen Rear Window, I recommend you go check it out. At number 15, another Scorsese film, also about, well, maybe I shouldn't spoil it. Okay, if you haven't seen Shutter Island, skip ahead like 2 minutes. If you have seen Shutter Island, feel free to listen. Another Scorsese film about a man who seems normal but completely loses his mind. And Shutter Island might be the greatest twist I've ever seen in a movie. Even though I guessed the twist about 20 minutes in, it still took me off guard after guessing it when I saw it happen on screen in real time. At number 14, probably Jim Carrey's greatest performance. When it's just saying something because he has a lot of great performances, we have The Truman Show. What an amazing film of this man who is living his entire life as a lie inside of a TV show. From birth till the end of the film, he has no idea he's in a TV show. He has no idea the people in his life are just cast members in this show, and everyone is just watching him. He's on like this cable network channel 24/7. People watch him sleep, watch him eat, watch him go to school, watch him go to work, watch him graduate. It's the craziest thing ever, and it's really one of the best concepts for a movie out there. I'm sure all of you have seen Truman Show, but if you haven't seen it, please go out and watch it. At number 13, another fairly new movie for me, that is American Beauty. I watched this towards like the end of my college career. The first time I watched it was with my girlfriend, and we only started dating like 4 years ago, so I'm trying to date it. Maybe 3 years ago I saw this movie for the first time. Since then, I think I've watched it 4 times. I absolutely love it. I could see it creeping up into my top 10 one day for dramas. Maybe like my top 15 all time. I truly do love this film. I think it's a great, great movie, and the cast, the story, the way it's shot, everything about it is just so well done in my opinion. At 12, probably the most feel-good story on this list, the most, heartwarming movie. If you want to watch something that just makes you feel good and leaves a smile on your face at the end while also being able to make you tear up, I recommend watching Pursuit of Happiness. This story, which is actually a real story about a man who goes from rags to riches. Literally, he is like dead broke, selling these machines that nobody wants, to becoming like the top stockbroker and eventually opening up his own company. What an amazing, amazing film. I think Will Smith does a great job. This is probably Will Smith's best performance ever, and just an exceptional film that you should watch if you just need a feel-good story in your life. At number 11, I told you to have more Tarantino on this list, and we have Django Unchained. What a crazy film. I just gotta say, I think the greatest pairing in all of Hollywood is Tarantino and Christoph Waltz, and you get it in this movie, and you get another film that's a lot higher on this list. And Django Unchained is an awesome, awesome revenge story. You get the story of a slave who becomes a free man, and he pairs up with like this bounty hunter and Christoph Waltz, and they go on this journey to collect this bounty while saving Django's wife. It's an awesome revenge story, maybe the best revenge story of all time. I know a lot of people would probably say like Kill Bill is Tarantino's best revenge story. I'd have to disagree and go with this one. What an amazing film. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen all of Tarantino's catalog, go check out all of his movies. I recommend every single one. Cracking into my top 10, we have 12 Angry Men. And this is an awesome film because it all takes place in one room. It is just 12 men who are on a jury who are discussing a murder case, and the whole film takes place in the jury room. So all 12 are just sitting around a table and they're discussing the events of this like murder that happened, and you don't ever see the murder, you don't ever leave this jury room. You're just watching 12 men talk and discuss and explain the events, and you're putting the pictures together in your own head, and you're building this movie in your own head. It is truly just like, it's like reading a book, the way that you can watch this film and just watch guys talk and build the story in your own head. You feel like one of the jury members trying to figure out who was guilty, who was not guilty, and it can leave you on the edge of your seat. It can make you mad. It can make you, excited. And it's just crazy that a film that is just set in one location is able to do all of this. At number 9, we have my favorite mobster movie of all time, which is probably blasphemy to not say Godfather, but for me it is Goodfellas. I grew up in an Italian family. My mom is from Italy. All my cousins are Italian. So these movies that have to do with Italian culture mean a lot to me. And for me, I've always graduated a lot more towards Goodfellas than any of the other ones. I think Goodfellas is the cream of the crop when it comes to mobster films. I would recommend it any day over like Irishman or over Godfather or Godfather Part 2 even. I think this is my favorite Italian mobster movie of all time. At number 8, we have Dead Poet Society. And this movie means so much to me in my life. When I graduated college, I had this plaque that was bought for me by my cousin where I could put my diploma, and you could put a little quote in it. And I actually put in mine, "Carpe diem, seize the day, make your life extraordinary." I love that freaking line. I love Robin Williams. As you'll see on more of this list, I truly do love Robin Williams. What an amazing film. Every time I watch it, I cry, I laugh, I just feel inspired in life, and I want to go out and I want to do something with my life. It's just such an inspirational movie. At number 7, another Scorsese movie. He made a lot of movies on this list. We have The Wolf of Wall Street. This movie is also very inspirational, but in a very, very different way. Where Dead Poets inspires you to like go out and like make your life great and do something grand, Wolf of Wall Street makes you want to go out and become somebody and make money and do something great. But also, the guy in this movie who is inspiring you to do that is not that great of a person. I know Jordan Belfort's honestly a great person nowadays, and he goes out and he like helps people and does TED Talks on how to become a great businessman. He's really reshaped his life, but in this film, during these events, he was a madman just cut loose. So the example of the American dream and how somebody can just get so wound up in it and lose control of themselves. And it's really a great film by Scorsese. One you wouldn't picture him directing because it's a very tonal shift from his other films, but I highly recommend Wolf of Wall Street. I love this film. At number 6, Tarantino strikes again, and we have Inglourious Basterds. And when I said Christoph Waltz and Tarantino is a great duo, and there's one that's even better, this is what I was talking about. In my opinion, Hans Landa, played by Christoph Waltz, is the greatest movie villain of all time. Nobody tops him. I don't want to hear about No Country for Old Men or Thanos or Darth Vader. None of that. Hans Landa is, in my opinion, the greatest villain of all time, and this is probably Tarantino's second best film of all time. I know Tarantino himself considers it his masterpiece or his best film, and I know a lot of you probably agree with that. For me, there's one better, but I truly do love Inglourious Basterds. Cracking into my top 5, another director who I truly love and who I've been hearing in the news maybe pairing up with Tarantino for a new movie, which I'm pumped about. This is David Fincher, and we are talking about Fight Club. At number 4, we have The Breakfast Club. Talk about an emotional movie. This is the prime coming-of-age film when you're following these students who are in detention, and it all takes place in this school as you find out why they're in detention, what it is, who makes them themselves, their home lives, and their issues they struggle with. And while some people look like they have this cushy life, they actually have a lot of issues deep down inside. And when some people look like these rough, hard on the edge people, they can actually come out to be truly, nice and really like selfless and give themselves to others. The way you can just break down these characters and how at the end they all say like, hey, if I pass you in the hall, will you say hi to me? And some say yes and some say no. It's tragic because, that's how we are when we're that age, when we're in high school and we're growing up. We think everything's about being cool or standing out or being the best, you know, being the jock, being the popular one, going to the parties. But in all honesty, it's not about that at all, and it's about these relationships we can have. And if you are a good person and someone else is a good person, you should be able to say hi to each other in the hallway, and you should be able to have a connection and talk to each other, because all that BS that happens early on in life, it all fades, and we're all just people at the end of the day, and it's a beautiful message to see in this film. At number 3, and we're getting into movies here that, when you got that letterbox top 4, these 3 movies rotate in and out of there at all times. At number 3, we have Perks of Being a Wallflower. This is a movie that I actually watched a little later in life, more towards my early college years, and I wished I watched it when I was in high school, because I feel like it would have really moved me even more than it did then. I love this film. I love the characters. I feel so bad for the main character. I just, you know, I want to like be his friend. I want to help him through these hard times. I love the side characters like Emma Watson's character, and the guy, I can't think of the actor's name right now. I know he's like got a lot of controversy, but he's a dude that plays the Flash in the DCU. Anyway, his character is outstanding in this film, and I love this movie to death. Like I said, it's always rotating in and out of that top 4. It'll always be one of my favorite films of all time. And something about that David Bowie scene in the car when they're just out the sunroof, it's like magical to me. It's one of the greatest movie moments of all time. Alright, here we are at my top 2, and if anyone asks me what movie I recommend them to watch, this is the movie right here, and we have Good Will Hunting. Like I said, I love Robin Williams, and this is Robin Williams' best performance. Him and Matt Damon and their relationship in this movie is just so beautiful to watch. This movie can make me laugh every single time I watch it, can make me cry every single time I watch it, can leave me inspired, can leave me feeling happy and joyful. And the funny thing about it is I feel those different emotions at different parts every single time I watch this film. I've probably seen it 50 times, and it never gets old to me. I love it dearly. I truly couldn't think of a different film to recommend if someone asked me to give them one movie to watch. And my number 1 favorite drama of all time. I told you Tarantino had one more movie on this list, and here it is. We have Pulp Fiction. If somebody asked me what Pulp Fiction was about, I couldn't tell you, and I think that's the whole point of the movie. Pulp Fiction, it's literally the name of the title. It's just a bunch of random stories that have nothing to do with each other, but they somehow all interact and they somehow all intertwine. You got John Travolta and Sam Jackson's characters. You got Butch, played by Bruce Willis. You got all these different characters and all these different storylines. Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, great character. Like I said, I don't really know how I would explain this movie to someone. I don't know what I would tell them it's about. I don't really know where I'd start, but there's so many quotable lines. I quote this movie every frickin' day, man. Like, that's a tasty burger, and everything. I want to get the coffee mug that says, that's some gourmet shit. I just love this movie, man. Everything about it. I have like a poster in my bedroom. I have like a Pulp Fiction sweatshirt. I love this film to death. It's probably my favorite movie of all time. Spoiler for the next video, I'm sorry. But yes, that's how much I love Pulp Fiction, and I love Tarantino's work. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check the description down below for my other 3 videos if you missed them. Like I said, we have comedy, we have horror, and we have action sci-fi. I will link those, and then eventually, coming around the end of May, we should have my top 25 all-time list coming out for you guys to watch. Thank you all so much for tuning in this video. Let me know in the comments below what are your favorite films and what you thought of mine. Thank you all. Please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel. It helps out a lot as we journey to 500 subscribers. Thank you all so much, and have a great day.